Hi, everyone. This is Bob Sterner from Minnesota. I've been actively involved in Fremo since 2003. A few of my modules are pictured here. Recently, I brought one small module to a meet organized by the North Star Prototype Modeler Society, a newly configured group of Fremo enthusiasts here in Minnesota. While driving to the event, I was thinking about how by bringing just a single module, I'd have a relatively easy go of it on setup day. Though I could and I did lend a hand in several ways throughout that day, I thought it might be fun and useful to try to document the processes we followed in going from individual modules and vehicles to operating layout in the public space. There doesn't seem to be much documentation out there about Fremo layout construction, so I'm hoping this project will help fill that void. Please note that I make no claims that what you see here is the quote unquote best way to do anything, but I do want to emphasize that the process we followed here and which I've documented has been honed over about 20 years and dozens of layouts. Here are a few images of the layout I'll be discussing today. Our layout was about 25 by 55 feet, so not at all huge. But that's large enough to show tips and tricks that can be used in layouts small and large. Two individuals who we will soon meet brought by far the lion's share of railroad that day, with others of us chipping in smaller bits. As we go through this video, I'd like you to take note of the amount of detailed scenery that was incorporated. All of this made it to and from the event safely. Okay, let's get on with it. For moving individual modules, simply carrying it without any protection at all is of course an option. But for better protection during storage, for example, some sort of case or covering is often called for. Here are a couple of hard covers made from thin lumber. Cases like this add some weight, but they are very durable and robust. These are held to the module using simple wood or drywall screws. Transportation is more demanding with larger collections. Protection of the module, the space it needs during transport, and ease of moving it between vehicle and layout space are important considerations. It's very important to think through transport needs before embarking on anything larger than a single small module. A.J. Murphy is one of the more prolific module builders here in Minnesota. He is also a DCC whiz. We will hear from him later when we talk about setting up the layouts DCC. For now, a time lapse he made of he and others emptying out his trailer will run as we look at examples of how to move sets of modules. One key is to design modules to fit together into sets that can be moved together, preferably with wheels. Sets can be assembled in different ways, for example, tipped on end or flat and horizontal. That last video showed John Zacharias in red. John is another prolific builder, and he and AJ, who we just met, contributed most of this layout. Helping John roll one of his carts was Ben Nelson, who we will hear from shortly. But let's first hear from John about some of the module transport racks he uses, and also get into the topic of Fremo legs with him. Okay, John Zacharias, hi.
Hey.
John's also brought a trailer full of modules and has a lot of experience moving things around. Tell us a little bit about how you move your modules, John, and any lessons you've learned.
I use carts with bolts, and main reason is to not have damage on the modules, and the carts kind of no damage has ever occurred on a cart. Plus, they're easy in, easy out.
That's great. And the wheels are anything special? Those are
just whatever the cheapest thing I could find, whatever was that Axeman.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So then they're bolted into the rack.
To the end plates with screw or bolts.
Yep. So then they just slide out and legs go on and stand them up.
Yep, pretty
Cool.
much. That's it.
So speaking of legs, let's talk a little bit about legs because you've got a couple different kinds going on.
Kinds, yep.
Tell us about them.
The ones right here, this is knockdown bed hardware. Bob can show you a picture underneath the module how they mate. And then you got the adjustable leg on the bottom.
Yep, the Lee Valley.
Yep.
Yep.
I get all mine from Lee Valley.
Uh-huh.
Shane Lambert was the one that turned me on to these.
Okay.
And pretty much all my legs have them. All new builds have this style.
Okay.
Some of the older modules have whatever was on them.
Sure.
Them.
Yep.
If they do fail, I do replace it and put this one on.
And then they tighten on with basically a big screwdriver, a big flat screwdriver. Yep. Okay.
I don't know if there's a module close by. I've got one of them on there.
I can do that later.
Edit that.
Yeah. Real good. Anything else you want to talk about?
Just have fun during setup.
Yeah.
Take breaks.
Yeah.
Wear knee pads. This is my first year wearing knee pads.
Oh God, I love knee pads. I couldn't do this without
Yeah,
them.
I learned my lesson last time.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome. Thanks, John.
Yep.
Here's Aaron Cohn taking a few modules off of the rack. Hey Ben, why don't you tell us about putting a leg on?
Hey Bob. So these are some really cool legs that John Zacharias has got for us. We're using these bed frame mounting bits here to help secure these modules faster and easier. One of the nice things is that there are these two teeth here that help me guide in this leg, and then I can either finger tight or screwdriver in the mounting screw as necessary. This one seems like it's going to be finger tight, which is going to help this process go faster. These bed frames offer really nice stability, and they're universal across all these modules, which means any leg can go to any module. This helps us set up way faster, and it means we don't have to track as many minuscule things that can slow our setups down. So this is primarily what we'll see across a lot of modules, and it's a really good system.
Great, thanks. Once the module has its legs installed, it's time to set it up right, get it into approximate position for the layout, level it, and finally, when the time comes, clamp it in place. The floors often are not always reliably level. In our experience, it is quickest to bring all the modules to the nominal height of 50-inch railhead to floor, then do any final tweaking of height and level as modules are clamped into final position. Setting a tape measure on the track at the end with tape locked in place like here is a handy trick. At one time, our group has had several versions of what we called 50-inch sticks, which rested on the rails at the module ends and extended 50 inches. These streamlined the process even further. For leveling, some prefer using spirit levels like here, emphasizing the track, not the framing or scenery, while others prefer using a self-leveling laser line. Either way, working in pairs is helpful with one person above guiding the person below with what to do with the leveling screws, as AJ and Tom Crisfield are doing here. We found it advantageous for the group to own a healthy supply of clamps. It can also work to require individuals to bring their own, but having a single central supply ensures that they are there and there is little bother at the end to make sure clamps get back where they should for the ride home. Some minor adjustments to the final clamping is often needed as the layout moves into operational status, with a few less than perfect joints being fixed in the first few hours of layout running. Installing fitter rails is not everyone's favorite setup task, but necessary it is. Fitter rail crews need to be gentle and careful around module scenery, which adds to the challenge. Though theoretically fitter rails should be 2 inches in length, in practice different lengths are needed to allow for real-world differences from this nominal value. For many years now, we've used color-coded fitter rail assortments like you see here. The homemade little measuring tool on the right gives an indication of what length fitter rail is needed at a given joint, and the parts box holds those color-coded rails. We've ended up with a few such kits without consistent color coding between them, which is less than ideal. The picture on the right shows a not great joint where the gap means something is out of square or has warped or moved over time. This one needs a longer than average set of fitter rails. The majority of module joints are tighter than this one. With most of our modules being MSS equipped, most fitter rail joints need insulated joiners on one end to keep one module electrically isolated from each other. Here you can see a nice and smooth module junction in operation. Let's take a few seconds now and just enjoy watching the train roll by. At our setups, usually one person is designated as DCC chief. We aren't going to be able to address all aspects of electrical setup here, but let's let AJ give us an overview.
We're rolling. All right. We're going to talk about DCC. So for equipment, we have booster boxes and the command station box. I don't know if you want to. So, like this one is a booster box with a dual booster, a GB220. Got an LNRP, LNWI, PS 2012 power supply in there.
And all that equipment lives in that
Yep.
plastic toolbox?
Yeah, well, it stays in that box. It's got external plugs on the end here for hookups. You got a booster net, which is the local net just for boosters. Then you got throttle net. And then the 2-track power outputs, ground connection.
Great.
And this is a similar booster box, but it's only got a single booster or single, a DB 210 or whatever. So a single track power output, not two.
Mm-hmm.
No LNWI, but it's got the normal LNRP and the outputs on the end.
Yep, it's with the same.
Yeah.
So those two things come with,
Yeah.
and then you got
Yeah,
booster
then-
boxes elsewhere too.
So we got another one. Then that's just two. That's a dual booster. Full setup. It's basically got two DB 200s.
Okay.
LNRP power supply.
Mhm.
And then there's one more box like these black ones that's got the command station in it. That's way at the other end of the layout.
Okay, we'll take a picture of it and show it.
And then as for, setting up, so we've got 6 booster districts here. So, we decide to break the layout into, so like one booster district is powering another booster district is powering the loop. And then one's doing the main line that way to where the command station is. And then another booster's doing this switching line that we got back here.
Sorry about the sun, everybody.
But yes, we figure out what we want to, what's going to power what. Set them all in place down below. We run the booster net, local net, and a ground wire to connect them all. We don't use the module ground. I don't, just for troubleshooting purposes. That's too many connections for me to check
Okay.
on the ground wire.
Okay.
And then, like this booster's powering this, so the throttle net powers that for that. And then like this one's throttle net powers the UP5 plugins on that one.
Okay. And accessory power is just kind of stuff,
Yeah,
a variety of things. Yeah.
Just a ton of power supplies. There's one behind you here too.
Uh-huh.
We've got a whole bunch of those all over.
Yep. And all of what you're talking about now belongs basically to the group. It's not private, right?
Well, yeah, it's 2 groups. So you got
Two groups,
Minnesota
yeah.
Primo equipment and then the North Star Prototype Motors equipment.
Yeah.
So we've
Purchased with funds that were raised by donations at meets, and you collect some money, and then you have enough to work with, and you buy stuff that
Yep.
that the group can rely on. Yep.
Pretty much.
Yeah, great. I think that's
I mean,
it.
then we have MSS, but I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
going to talk about MSS.
All right. We'll do that another meet.
It's a whole
Okay.
separate system.
Sure. Hey, thanks, AJ.
Yeah.
Once all the electronics are installed and running, we add skirting on public-facing edges of the layout. This lessens the visual distractions and helps keep curious kids from throwing power switches. The group owns multiple rolls of black fabric, which are easy to clamp to the modules using these paper clips. Well, that's all the setup information we put together for you. Before signing off, we want to thank the local host for our event at Winsted, the St. John Lutheran Church of Winsted, and Brandon Gatz specifically. We were really delighted with the great public interest we received and the appreciation and enthusiasm the visitors brought. That's me again, Bob Sterner. Happy railroading and cheers.